Namo Buddhaya, Namaste. Welcome to my new studio. I'm here in this glade, I think you'd call it, small copse or woodland that is just behind the open space at the top of this mountain, the top of this rock where I'm spending my nights. I'm spending my nights mainly in meditation, with some sleeping, and early mornings in meditation before I go off into the village to collect food, and then I can return here. It is now about between 12:30 and 1 o'clock. Oh, I can tell you precisely, I have my clock ready today. 12:56. So this is the hottest, getting on for the hottest time of day, and it's quite cool. There's a gentle breeze in here. It's shady enough, and I say it's my new studio because this is going to be, I think, a suitable place to continue these Dharma talks. Also, early evenings and early mornings out there where I spend the night when the sun drops below the trees also will be perhaps a nice place where we can fit into my daily routine some guided meditations, maybe of different lengths and different kinds to suit all different sorts of people. So that is my new routine. It is the new moon of December Uposita tomorrow. The new moon in, I think, the Google calendar world is probably the following day, but our day runs as monks from dawn until dawn. So often the new moon, the full moon, is a slightly different day to the non-monastic world. It doesn't make much difference, but it means regularly every 15 days us monks must get together with a minimum of at least 3 other bhikkhus. A bhikkhu is a fully ordained Theravada Buddhist monk, and this bhikkhus must get together to recite their 227 training rules, which we call the Patimokkha. So I'm off this evening to Bangalore again. You've heard that before. On the bus, 12 hours. I'll leave at 5 in the evening, arrive at 5 in the morning to spend the day at Mahabodhi Society, Bangalore, with my monastic family, where we will chant the Patimokkha. Well, someone will recite and chant the Patimokkha. We will listen mindfully and attentively, and we will have our bi-weekly or twice monthly meeting of the Sangha before I depart that evening to return to here, my, what would you call it? My retreat, my place of solitude, my dwelling place. I can't say my kuti because my kuti is down in the coconut groves near the village, which I have now left. Not completely. It is my base station. It is where I take this phone to charge it up during the day when I'm not needing it for this, and a power pack for said phone. And well, what else do I do there? There is a toilet there I can use. It's a kind of some family's toilet, but they don't mind, and a kind of a washing place. So I'm not having to rely on the sea, the ocean, the Arabian Sea for my bathroom, as I did have to in previous years. Quite luxurious, really. This is why I call this the Hilton Rooftop Hotel. If you're unfamiliar with Hilton Rooftop Hotels, they are a sub-chain of the Hilton Group of hotels, renowned throughout Europe and America, I think, for their rooftop gardens. That aside, I have some questions, or just a couple, which I'd like to attend to and see if I can help with my view, my opinion. I haven't got them all written down. I can remember a couple. I was thinking about them. One of my regular viewers in the UK, and I note I have a couple of regular viewers in the Yorkshire area, West Yorkshire, North Yorkshire. This is a big area, Yorkshire, I think, are asking, well, one particular was asking about getting together Buddhist groups and monasteries in the UK. Well, the only monasteries that are of my own tradition, the Ajahn Chah Thai Forest tradition in the UK, and there are 6 actually in the UK, near to that location are in Northumbria and Warwickshire, quite some distance I know. But these days, if you're looking to just form a group of Kalyana Mita, which is noble friends, useful friends that are, sorry, not useful friends, friends that are practicing usefully the Dharma and meditation and understanding the suttas and the Dharma, a group to get together, something like that, then you can do this online these days. I mean, we already have quite a group of people on this particular channel and this this format, this platform, in that time zone, and I'm very happy to put together a scheduled Zoom meeting for us all to meet one day and maybe talk about, have questions and answers firstly. We could then restructure it with a Dharma talk, some guided meditation, or whatever you'd like to do. It's your channel, and it's really up to you what we put on it. This is why I like to answer your questions. And if we have a group get together on Zoom, similarly, you can include in it what you want. It could be that you'd want to take Tisarana Panchasila, which is refuge in the triple gem, the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and the reaffirmation of the 5 precepts for a lay Buddhist. All of these things can be done, and I'm always open and welcome to your suggestions. So thank you, that was Creel who asked about that. So I'm sorry I can't put you in touch with a monastery near you. Try Googling it on maps. You might come up with some various, there's Triratna, a very large Buddhist organisation in the UK, but it's quite different to traditional Theravada Buddhism. I won't go into all of the details of that and history. But it could become a little confusing if you have been studying or you've come to the understanding of how the Theravada and even the Mahayana systems of Buddhism work. Those in themselves are different, but again, Triratna is a modern version of, it was once the Western order of Buddhists, so it was designed as a semi-secular. No, I can't say secular because they do have the Buddha and they do chant. They've changed it to adapt the West. The individual who set it up changed it to adapt to the West, so it's different. That's all I have to say about that. But you can find maybe some Buddhist meeting places. There is also, I meet twice a month with the Hampshire Buddhist Society, because I'm from that area, Hampshire, Sussex originally, but then Hampshire. Each month, twice, and we have a Zoom meeting get together also. So I'm now getting quite used to that format. Maybe if there's just a couple of you, you could be invited to join that meeting. Or if there's enough of us, we could make our own meeting and maybe invite them to join ours. It's up to you. So that's enough about that. Please, I welcome your suggestions with that. I had a, forgive me, I only have the, well, I won't say your real name anyway. I have the, what do you call that name? This strange name you have in your, instead of your real name. I think it's Lolo. A question about travel. You've been having some serious difficulties with travel and you're going off to set up a retreat, and I understand it's going to be in Tanzania, which is where my youngest son is, or was, last I heard from him, strangely enough. A lot of people seem to be going there currently. It seems to be popular. I'm not sure. It's a part of Africa. I don't know much about it. I have been to South Africa, but not other parts of Africa. So Tanzania, and a retreat centre. So it's a very, very sadhu, a very noble and worthwhile aspiration. Now you've been having tremendous difficulty travelling. Well, firstly, Lolo, and I'm sorry if that's not your proper name, I've remembered your proper name, but I'm not going to say it now anyway. You aren't alone. Travel has become very chaotic as a result of the lack of travel for so many years. Well, this last couple of years, the travel companies, the airlines, the airports lost all their staff. You know all this. They lost all their staff because they basically got other jobs, and now they can't get the staff and they haven't got the money to pay them, and everything's short-staffed. There's chaos at airports, chaos in aeroplanes, bookings and everything. I've given you some one-to-one suggestions on that, but your question was all of these obstacles, hindrances to your aspiration Is it an omen? That's not the word you used, but I think that's what you meant. Is it a sign not to do what you want to do? No, not at all. The Buddha did not teach anything of superstition. In fact, he encouraged against any kind of fortune-telling, mysticism, superstition, lucky charms, bracelets, this and that. It's all something not to be considered as important. It isn't representative of the truth. It is just an unfortunate set of circumstances. It's all circumstantial. Now, it's not to say that pachaya, which is conditions, set you up in the first place to be able to do something. So if you act well, karma, your actions, will result in you being rewarded well. If you do good things, you'll get good things back. Bad things back. So generally, if your right intention is there, then what you're aspiring to do will come to fruition. Now, it may be that those conditions subconsciously are holding you back a little. I didn't ordain for many years after I first wanted to, well, about 5 years actually, because there were conditions domestically at home that weren't stopping me, but subconsciously were stopping me because it was holding me back, giving me little excuses. And I think probably it was because I wasn't ready. But there was nothing to do with luck, superstitions, or omens. It was my natural instinct towards what was happening. Now, of course, if a country is war-torn, dangerous for some disease or something, you wouldn't be recommended to go there. That would be just plain lunacy. So you would avoid that kind of travel. But if you just have an unfortunate set of circumstances which have delayed your travel, consider that as probably for a good reason, but don't let it stop you. Go ahead. And the point of me including this question is because it is applicable to the Dharma, in that one must get away from this rites and rituals and superstitious even praying for things to be well, go well, worshipping in order to get some reward, even giving, which is great to give, dana, but because you wish to give kindness, not because you think a mystical power will reward you for such. That isn't the idea behind this Buddhist philosophy. So I think I've rambled on. Did I say it was the new moon? Uposita. So tonight I go to Bangalore. I can't remember if I've said that already. You know that already, I've said it many times. It was quite hot walking back up here, so please forgive me. And I have just had lunch, so it was a very nice lunch too. And it was in my alms bowl, not prasadas normally, and collected by a family in the village who are now occasionally giving me food in my alms bowl, which is very traditional and very right and proper, how it should be. Most days this is now the case. It's turning out to be a very suitable place for a monk to be. At least one monk alone anyway. I think more than one it could get. I think any time more than one you will have to have a lot more things organised and in place. So group, I said about the Zoom group, and I said about the superstition thing. And so this question from Vinura, who's asked a question before, I think, and a regular viewer, thank you very much for your question, and thank you for your kind comments. Let me just go straight to the question. I was wondering if you can share your experience about the usefulness of Buddhist suttas in general, in particular the ones that, I've got to pick this up, sorry, all I can see is trees. Let me start again. I was wondering if you can share your experience about the usefulness of Buddhist suttas in general, in particular the ones that help with calming the mind, knowing which ones help in the process of fruitful meditation practice just before one enters. Thank you and happy holiday season. To all you out there also celebrating Christmas, we'll call it Buddhamas here, all of you have a happy holiday season. I won't go on too much more about that because some people are very often looking at these kind of videos to get away from all of that. There's plenty of Christmas around you. So if you are missing out on Christmas, please find some Christmassy friends to spend time with. If you want to get away from Christmas, please join me. And we call it Buddhamas. Every day is Christmas Day in the land of the Buddha. And it can be also for you outside of this land of the Buddha if you're practicing Sila, Samadhi, Panya, because you will develop this Panya, this wisdom, which is basically, I'm a small child and every day it's Christmas morning. That's how it feels when you practice this Dharma, these lessons, these teachings of the Buddha. What was the question? Gosh, my meditation is going well. In particularly, the one that helps calming the mind. Yes, now I think, now I'm going to make an assumption, and please send your question in again if I've got this wrong. When you say a usefulness of Buddhist suttas in general, I'm wondering if you mean the chanting of the suttas. Now the suttas are voluminous are vast. There are 84,000 suttas, and they're all useful. One would start with the Majjhima Nikaya, if you haven't even touched the word of the Buddha, the suttas previously, because it's the middle length discourses and it's the usual place to begin, and it is a comfortable-ish but long read. There is a technique to reading it. The way I read it is most of it's repetitive, everything's repeated 3 times. I did kind of speed read through it because I couldn't really, I could see no end if I read it. When you read each sutta individually, it's important to do the repeating. The reason being, the Buddha's teachings were transmitted firstly orally, and this was by chanting them. So they are set out in stanzas like poetry, and the chanting that we chant in the Pali tradition, and specifically in the Theravada tradition, is mainly the suttas, is how these teachings were passed down. But the full-length versions are in the Tripitaka, the Buddhist scriptures, if you like, the suttas. And I'm thinking that if you're looking at a way to settle the mind before meditation, you're not thinking of which sutta book, great big book like this, to pick up and read. That would really be more a case of understanding and learning and training and getting to really know the practice. For calming the mind, we will often practice some chanting firstly, and it can be to yourself or if you're in a group. And if that's what you're asking, then I would recommend the first and foremost chant of each Buddhist should be the recollection of the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. Especially the Buddha. It reflects on the 9 qualities of the Buddha. You may have heard it is the one that goes, so I have to do this properly to say this. I have to say, pay homage to the Buddha first. So this is the first little chant that you might want to say. You can consider this as just reminding yourself of the qualities of your teacher. And this isn't the only sutta I'm suggesting for your question, but this is one that's easier for you to learn, and that if you go to Buddhist countries, they learn it in school like we used to learn, probably not so much now, the Lord's Prayer or something like that, or in a Catholic school, the Hail Mary. So, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee, blessed art thou amongst women, blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, Amen. This would be something that as a child you've learnt if you went to a Catholic school. Clearly I did. Or the Lord's Prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, and so on. In Thailand I have to say the first bit, the homage to the Buddha first. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. And then we say the first part, which is the reflecting on the 9 qualities of the Triple Gem. Now, I am chanting this in Pali because it sounds nice, but if you Google Forest Sangha, for those of you wherever you are, if you're an English speaking, you clearly would be listening to this, you can get the Thai Forest Tradition chanting books online in Pali and English, side by side. There's no point chanting Pali stuff if you don't know what it means. Many people can learn this Pali chanting cover to cover, hours and hours of it, and not know what it means. What's the point? understand the meaning. Now, I have done a video way back on this channel explaining this next chant in detail, what it means. So please go back. I have no idea the quality of the video, but it's one of the first I did. But that would be useful. But you can also get the chanting book yourself to read through. And you would have heard this if you've been to any Buddhist countries, or you've heard any Buddhist pujas going on. So after Namo Tassa, and this is something you should know, Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa, homage to the Buddha, the noble one, the perfectly enlightened one, and is the English. And you repeat it 3 times. Most things in these Buddhist teachings are repeated 3 times. Why? To help us remember. And this is how these suttas and these teachings were passed down. And this is how they have been remembered so well for so many thousands of years, 2,566 years. So the Itipiso, which is so common in these Buddhist countries, is Itipiso Bhagava Haraham Samma Sambuddho Vichacharana Sampano Sugato Lokavidu Anutaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati Sata Deva Manusanam Buddho Bhagavati. After reflecting on the 9 qualities of the Buddha, you can go on to reflect on the qualities of the Dharma and the Sangha. So I won't do that now. That is in a previous video, as I say, and maybe I will do some chanting videos later on. But you can then also learn what they call the 3 cardinal suttas. And the reason I say learn is because if you want to use something for calming your mind, it's best not to be reading it, trying to understand it, because that's activating a different part of your mind to which you want to calm down, and activate a different part of your mind, your brain rather, when you sit to meditate. So if you know some chanting, even if it's just a short mantra, the first line of Itipiso Bhagava Araham Sama Sambuddho, and that's it, that's okay, or just Namo Tassa Bhagavato, or even just Buddho, Buddho, Buddho. This is more a mantra. This is better for calming the mind than picking up something to learn. But the longer suttas, the cardinal suttas, one of the ones that's very settling, as you have asked particularly before meditation, is the 3rd of the 3 cardinal suttas. The first of the cardinal suttas is the Ratana Sutta, which is the reflection on the powers of this triple gem. The Mangala Sutta, which is the blessings of this practice, the different levels of blessings that we can get, and then the Kalyana Metta Sutta, which is the Buddha's words on loving kindness, and also sort of reflection on how a good Buddhist practices. And it has some very beautiful lines in it and is very inspiring towards your practice. So if you were to learn the Kalyana Metta Sutta, and that is also on here somewhere back in the video log, whatever you call it, the old ones, and you can also Google them elsewhere, or rather find them on YouTube, and you'll find they're all chanted in very many different ways. But you chant it the way you like to hear it, the way you like it to sound. Maybe not too tuneful, maybe not too solemn. However it makes you feel it's nicely resonating with your heart and making you feel good. So they are the 3 cardinal suttas, Ratana, Mangala and Kalyana Metta. The first is what I chanted, was the reflections on the triple gem, the Itipiso, and then the Dharma and Sangha, and hopefully that answers your question. I'll share my experience. Well, my experience is of the suttas. Well, firstly I started by reading the middle length discourses of the Buddha, the Majjhima Nikaya. Subsequently that, I will admit, I have not read the rest of the volumes cover to cover. I have dived into them in and out, in and out, in and out, and over the years probably read them. But apart from the Majjhima Nikaya, I've not read them cover to cover. That's quite an exercise in itself, and quite, for me, a daunting prospect. I preferred to spend my time practicing in meditation than reading. But we're all different, whatever is best for you. But there's the short, we won't go into a whole description of the collection of the suttas now. That's really for another time, I think. But if that answers that question, I'm now going to be getting ready I pop down to my base station, my kuti, make sure it's clean. I've not been there, but the bugs and things will go in there still, and various creatures, so I'll have to sweep this out, clean it, and get that ready as if I'm never to return. Then explain to the people who look after that for me that I am returning, even though it looks like I'm not. That's a conversation I have to have every time, every 15 days, because they panic that I'm not coming back. And then it'll be nearly time for me to walk into town to catch the bus, to get my bus to Bangalore overnight. I've shaved my head, because this is what we do the day before Uposatha, and washed my robes and ready to set off on my journey. If I get time tomorrow, I will make another talk from Mahabodhi in Bangalore. If I don't, please forgive me, and I look forward to talking to you again on, it's Wednesday today, Thursday I'll be there, Friday, in wherever you are, it'll be Friday somewhere, at some point I guess. I think that's all I have to say today. I hope it's been clear enough for you. The sound has been okay. It's been I think I've lost a little bit of concentration through talking to you today, purely because I haven't had any distraction to make me really, really concentrate. Normally there's all things going on around me, and it means I have to really concentrate on what I'm saying so as I don't go off course. But I'm enjoying this environment in this little glade. I could actually sit here and meditate now for the rest of the afternoon. Unfortunately, I don't have time to do that. But if I did, I would, and I will be when I get back. Now I have found this extra little part to my place. These little ants do bite, but they seem to be desisting in their attack for the time being. At least it's been long enough for me to make this talk. They're exactly the same colour as my robes. Now I don't know whether that's because they've adapted to this colour, but one bit me earlier and it did hurt. Although I have a kind of immunity to these bites, having had to go to hospital once, and they gave me some medication which seems to now mean I don't have this reaction. It's not it was a one-off medication, that was all. But that's often the case in this country. You have an illness, they give you some pills, and then you never have that illness again. I don't know how it works, you have to trust them. I'm very well in every other respect. Thank you for those that have been asking. And one other thing to answer, you often ask me about how do I get on with no support? Well, I sometimes answer this question, I always answer this question, well, I do have support. I have support of the Vinaya, the Buddhist rules, if you like, the monastic rules. And this is why I'm going to going to hear the recitation of the Patimokkha tomorrow to remind us of those rules. Now, it sounds a little bit, what's it? I don't know what the word is. It sounds like, oh yeah, I bet you might, that's not really much of a sport. Actually, it so really is. It is an instruction book. The Buddha wrote an instruction book for us monks, how to live in this environment, specifically, down to everything that I have to do, from the way I eat, to the way I go to the toilet, to the way I'm sharing so much metta to this little creature that's right behind you, the camera now, and it's looking at me and smiling. It's a little baby lizard, gecko, whatever you call them, and now he's gone off into there, but he was looking and smiling. And everything is included in this rule book, and we understand it and we know it, which is why we repeat it on this occasion, this sila, every 15 days, because it is our support. I never feel lonely. I never feel scared, and I'm honestly saying that to you. If I felt lonely, if I felt scared, it's not far. 10 minutes and I'm on the road. Another 10 minutes I can be into a town, or into a little village where there's places where there's now foreigners, from not just Indian people. Now travel's open again. There's even English people. But I've never had the need to do that. In the last 2 years I've been here, there have been no tourists, no foreigners really. Only non-English speaking Indians, whom are loath to help because they're a little bit curious and, I don't know, unsure as to what on earth you are, a white person, strange clothing. So, yeah, it is my support, that sila, which is why I have this determination and I adhere to it, of going every 15 days on this long journey to Bangalore and returning, because it boosts my confidence in the practice. It makes me feel secure in the knowledge that for thousands of years, 2,566 years, people have been practicing like this successfully and have attained to enlightenment only this way. And this I wish for myself, and I wish for you also. In lay life you can also become enlightened. Just follow Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Be good, meditate, and develop your mind, and enjoy the practice. And this little creature, he's helping me because he's eating the little ants, but that's nature. I can't interfere with what happens in nature, but he's helping me. So thank you, little lizard thing. Sukhi hotu, sukhi hotu, sukhi hotu. And I'll quickly give you a blessing also. And to all of the Sabbe Sata Sukhi Hotu, that's all beings, may they be happy, may they be well. Sabbe Sata Sukhi Hotu. And to you, may you live long, be healthy, be lucky, be happy. Sabbe Tiho Vivajantu, Sabarogo Vinyasatu, Mate Bhavatu Vantarayo, Sukhi Digayuko Bhavam, Bhavatu Sabha Mangalam Ragantu Sabha Devata, Sabha Buddha Nubhavena, Sabha Dhamma Nubhavena, Sabha Sangha Nubhavena, Sada Soti Bhavantu Te. And you say, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And I say, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sukhi hotu, sukhi hotu, sukhi hotu. That means be happy, be happy, be happy. And may your practice be fruitful. Namo Buddhaya.